Two Sith Lords, two eras separated by thousands of years, two monsters forged in fire, betrayal, and war. One breathes through a machine, the other fights through shattered lungs. One serves an emperor from the shadows, the other was the emperor, briefly, and paid for it with everything. Today we're stepping into a space between timelines and asking the question that keeps Star Wars fans up at night. If Darth Vader and Darth Malgus met in single combat, no armies, no politics, just two Sith Lords in the dark, who walks away? Settle in, this one is going to be deep. Before we can judge these men as warriors, we have to understand what made them. Anakin Skywalker was by nearly every metric the most force-sensitive being ever to exist in the galaxy. The Jedi ran his midichlorian count and came back speechless. Over 20,000, higher than Master Yoda. The Force didn't just flow through Anakin, it sang through him. But the boy who would become Darth Vader was also wounded. He watched his mother die in his arms, he watched the Jedi Order dismiss his fears, he loved too deeply, feared loss too acutely, and when Palpatine offered him a way out, power over death itself, Anakin burned the world down to take it. What emerged from the molten rock of Mustafar wasn't really Vader yet. That armoured wreck crawling in agony on the operating table, that was a man at less than half his potential. The suit that kept him alive also throttled his connection to the Force. The rage that fed his dark power was the same grief that made him sloppy, reckless, and dependent on his master's approval, Palpatine. By the time of the original trilogy, the peak Vader most fans know, he was something terrifyingly refined, cold, methodical, a machine that had learned to channel trauma into precision. Veradun, the man who became Darth Malgus, had a different wound. Born into the Sith Empire during the Old Republic era, roughly 3,600 years before the Battle of Yavin, Veradun was adopted by a Sith Lord who recognized his veracity. Unlike many Sith, who cultivated hatred as doctrine, Malgus was something rarer, a Sith who understood passion. He took a Twi'lek slave named Alina as his companion, and by all accounts genuinely loved her. That love made him dangerous in different ways than Vader's love ever did, because Malgus knew love was a vulnerability. He knew it, wrestled with it, and ultimately, in one of the most brutal moments in the Old Republic lore, strangled Alina to death with his own hands. Not out of cruelty, but out of simple, cold logic. He couldn't afford the weakness. That act didn't break Malgus. It completed him, and his resolve got stronger. Let's talk about how these two actually fight, because their styles couldn't be more different. Darth Vader's lightsaber form is a heavily modified version of the Gemso Form 5. It's the form built for power, heavy overhead strikes, aggressive parries that flow into counterattacks, punishing pressure that wears enemies down, but Vader added something to it post-Mustafar: ruthless efficiency. He doesn't waste movement, doesn't grandstand, doesn't taunt. Every swing is calculated, every step forward is deliberate. Vader treats a duel the way a surgeon treats an operation, and the lightsaber is his scalpel. His Force abilities are extraordinary, telekinesis at a scale most Force users can't comprehend. In Rogue One, we watched him hold a blast bolt in midair and fling rebels into the ceiling with one hand while deflecting fire with the other. He once Force crushed an entire Star Destroyer's bridge module. His Force choke is almost as casual a reflex like swatting a fly. Darth Malgus fights differently. He uses an aggressive blend of Joyo, Form 7, the most volatile and demanding combat form. Combined with raw and overwhelming physicality, Malgus is enormous even before his armour. He hits like a speeder bike, he uses his body as a weapon, smashing through opponents, biting through injuries that would stop most warriors cold. His Force abilities lean into offense, battle meditation in reverse. He doesn't inspire allies, he breaks them. Force lightning, Force push, used like a battering ram, and a peculiar connection to the dark side that lets him draw power from the carnage around him. The more violence nearby, the stronger Malgus gets. His defining moment, the sacking of Coruscant. While the Republic negotiated peace in good faith, Malgus led an assault on the Jedi Temple. He walked through its front doors, killed everything in its paths, and brought the building down as a statement. This wasn't a skirmish, was a declaration of his power. Let's be honest about what each fighter brings. Vader's advantages. First, raw force potential. Even hobbled by his suit, Vader's connection to the force is staggering. Malgus is powerful by Old Republic standards. Vader is powerful by all standards. The ceiling for what he could do, even diminish, may simply be higher. Second, his pain. Vader's suffering never leaves him, it's constant, and dark side users who faced him noted something unsettling in his presence. There's a gravity to his darkness, like standing next to a black hole. It isn't just power, it's the weight of that power. Third, tactical discipline. Vader doesn't get emotional in a fight, he adapts. He waits, he's patient, in a way that Malgus, who loves the violent charge, is not. In stark contrast to this, we have Malgus' advantages. First is his physical peak. Malgus is fighting in a body that, while scarred, is not trapped in a life support prison. His mobility is intact, his lungs, even damaged, are his. Vader must always fight around the limitations of the suit, heat, pressure, the constant mechanical noise of his own survival. Second, aggression as a philosophy. Malgus doesn't wait, he overwhelms. He has beaten force users who are technically more skilled by simply refusing to let the duel become technical. If he gets inside Vader's guard early and turns it into something brutal and close, that changes the calculus completely. Third, ideological independence. Vader always has Palpatine behind him, whispering, limiting and controlling him. Malgus broke from the simple Emperor and declared himself as a ruler. That independence, that refusal to be owned, is its own kind of power and may lead to a psychological advantage. So who wins? Here's the honest answer. Though I think it will be close, I think Vader wins, but it isn't quite clean. Malgus would make him work for it in a way very few opponents could. The opening minutes of that fight would be catastrophic. Malgus would come in hot, fast, and terrifyingly physical, and Vader would take hits, real hits. This isn't a duel that ends in 30 seconds. But I think Vader has something Malgus never fully escaped, the ability to turn suffering into strategy. Every blow Malgus lands feeds Vader's anger and focus rather than breaking it, and as the duel extends, Vader's superior force mastery begins to tell. He starts controlling the space around him, as we saw him do masterfully in his duel versus Maul in more Shadow Lords. He incorporates the environment, force and lightsaber simultaneously, fluidly, and I think Malgus will find his charge blunted, his footwork disrupted, objects flying at him from impossible angles. And then, with that cold, mechanical patience, Vader closes in like a hound. It would not be elegant, it would be inevitable. Darth Malgus is one of the greatest Sith warriors in galactic history. He is brutal and philosophically complete in ways many Sith will never achieve. But Darth Vader is something beyond category. He's the Force's greatest mistake, its most terrifying instrument, all at once. That's the difference between winning and losing. So, what do you think? Does Malgus' aggression close the gap? Does Vader's suit cost him the fight? Drop your breakdowns in the comments. If you want us to dig into Malgus versus Revan or Vader versus Count Dooku, we'll give that a go. Just say the word, please. If you like the video, please, if you don't mind, subscribing and liking. May the Force be with you always.